the corpse Labour Party, as I'm going to dub them, because I mean they are just a walking corpse at this point. I love what is it? Peter Hitchens always had this, where he's like the two main parties. He describes it, the Tories and the Labour Party, were essentially like two corpses that had rigor mortis and were just keeping each other up with their own inadequacies. And eventually, you just need one of them to collapse, and then the whole system will collapse, and you'll get a revolution in politics, and you get to see some new stuff. And I mean, he's been kind of right. I mean, it was great to see up until the Brexit vote. You could see the alliance between these kinds of people. They all go to the same universities. They all know each other. They've got far more in common with each other than anyone else. And then with the Brexit vote, you saw some actual shifting. I mean, you saw that just laid out in front of you, both of them campaigning on the same issues with the same kinds of people. Anyway, but the Labour Party themselves, since the Brexit vote, have been dawdling and wandering around aimlessly. And I thought under Keir Starmer they might reorganise and do, like some kind of Blairism or something, and then be able to get back into power. But it seems that they're going nowhere.
I think that the left of the party has gone too far to the point where he can't really do a Blair anymore. It seems like he's trying, and he can't really please anyone. Like, a lot of the left and the Labour Party just call him Blue Labour. Like,
sure, but I mean, that's the activist base, which is a huge problem, absolutely. But also among the public, he's not really able to do anything. And it might be because of the activists. I mean,
yeah, and there's also the fact that he's riding in from the coattails of Jeremy Corbyn, who was defeated pretty resoundingly and was an avowed socialist.
Yeah.
And people don't really like socialists, especially in England, although...
Would you like to give up all of your rights? No. Next question. Anyway, so the thing I wanted to mention first is just the 2021 London mayoral elections. This is the let's say, biggest election coming up for the UK, because we have local elections of a whole different kinds. We've got, like, councillors, a couple of big mayors. So, as I said, Greater Manchester, London, big, powerful places. And then we've also got a by-election I'll get into. But the London one being the main one that most people look to, especially in the south. And just by the polling, if you can scroll down so you can get the polling, just so we can see that. It's right down at the bottom. You can see Sadiq Khan, the current mayor, the awful one who spends more time campaigning on trans traffic lights than getting actual policies to try and stop people stabbing each other. If you can keep going, there should be a graph. So the graph shows, like him. And you can see that. So right at the top, Khan. And it seems to be a no-brainer. The Conservatives have utterly failed in London to present any kind of significant opposition. So Khan is going to win. He's going to be back in. Wow. Wonderful. More stabbings. Fantastic.
It's not even close either.
No, I don't know what's wrong with London. Like, I don't know how you can live there, observe him, and be like, yes, more of this, please.
More stabbings. I just love the stabbings.
Vote carnage. Yeah, as a friend of mine used to say.
Carnage.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's also some funny stuff that's been going on. So the things that the Labour Party could do if they actually want to be the opposition, as the pub landlord pointed out, was you could be the opposition to lockdowns, you could be the opposition on COVID passports, and all the rest of it. And they have been. I mean, they have been on opposition to COVID passports, Keir Starmer, saying it's un-British.
I've got to commend him on that. I mean, I don't agree with him on much, but
this is after pushing lockdowns week after week after week.
Yeah,
and he gets the COVID passport. He's like, no, that's not British. Like,
you've gone too far.
At least you can say it. I mean, Boris Johnson wasn't even able to say it. Pathetic. So let's go to the next link here, which is someone I saw Lawrence Fox posted this. Apparently, this is Keir Starmer during all of this deciding to have a little bit of a party at his, I presume, Labour office. You can see no one there wearing a mask, because why would you? They all know this is stupid. They all know the mask mandates and all this is a waste of everyone's time. So they're just hanging out, drinking beers. And this is the thing, they could be the based opposition. I mean, I know it's the Labour Party, but they could do that thing at least. Because if they're able to oppose vaccine passports, they could have been the ones opposing lockdowns and blah, 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 and then actually been the opposition, as the pub landlord pointed out. But nah, they're not.
They could have actually won votes that way as well. And
exactly, would have been a popular position.
The reason they're polling so badly is because they're just not accommodating anyone.
That's exactly it. Like, they're not able to accommodate the Brexit debate under Jeremy Corbyn. They still aren't really solved that at all. I mean, are Labour pro or anti-Brexit? I mean, who even knows? Such a mess. I mean, are they pro or anti-lockdowns? I mean, look at it. Look at it. Is this a man who really believes that the lockdowns work? Does he really believe in the lockdown policy? No, of course not. Anyway, so let's just check in with the leftists, see what they're arguing about. So there's the great Twitter account to follow for this kind of thing, Stats for Leftists, on whether or not Corbyn should or should not be let back into the Labour Party. 28% said he should, 50% says he shouldn't. And it's just like, really? Still arguing about this? Like, they kicked Corbyn out.
Is this genuinely still an issue? It's the 1st of May as well, so it's not even...
to the 30th.
It's only a few days ago.
It's like, God, man. I mean, Corbyn... It's weird. I know it's been not a huge amount of time, but he seems like something from another era already. Where it's just like his leadership is just something I don't even think about at all, if I can help it, because he's just like, who cares? Like,
I mean, it was from another era. It was old school socialism.
yeah, that's definitely true. But they're still arguing about that. I mean, that's what they're still infighting about. And it's just like, oh, okay. Well, how's that going? Because if you're not able to campaign on anything, Keir Starmer's group, and if the rest of you are just infighting about Corbyn still, well, how's the polling doing? So if we go to the next one, this is the polling from the Red Wall. So you can see here, Conservatives on 37%, Labour on 38%. So the Conservatives up 13% from 2016. In the Red Wall. The Red Wall.
The Red Wall?
So this is meant to be the area of strong Labour voters,
right.
the heartland in which they could get solid Labour constituencies. And they're just like neck and neck with the Conservatives now.
This could lead to some interesting results, actually, because it could be a case of lifelong Labour seats are going to flip, and we might see what's happened in past elections where once they flip, they don't really go back to voting Labour again, even though it was close the first time. The Tories only make their gains further. And we've had this in many seats, particularly up in the north, where they've voted Labour for almost like 100 years, and then all of a sudden they switch to Tory.
Yeah, and it was on the Brexit issue mostly. I mean, most of the seats in 2019 that flipped from the Red Wall were hard Brexit seats, and of course the Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn being the party of rejoining. I mean, Keir Starmer, arch rejoiner, most of his cabinet arch rejoiners. Why would they stick around? What's the point? So if you can scroll up, just so we can see the local election predictions. So if you scroll up to the top, there's them predicting there that the Conservatives are going to gain 90 seats here, Labour losing 59, Lib Dems down 13. Great. I mean, we'll get to the Tories in a minute, but I mean, I love seeing the Labour Party die. There is nothing better. I mean, the Tories have a whole host of problems of their own, but the Labour Party does not deserve to exist. It should be the Tories versus something else, like the actual opposition, not this skin suit of communism. Anyway, so if we go to the next link, there's the Red Wall councils as well. So if you can scroll down just so we can see the numbers here. So you've got the prediction of the Conservatives getting 37%. You can see like 4 councils just flip. Sorry, 2 councils flip from Labour to Conservative, with a bunch of others, going from solid Labour to likely Labour. Again, this is the Red Wall. I mean, you can see the numbers. It's meant to be solid red, and instead it's just buckling and buckling further. It's great. I love it. Keep it going. So we can go to the next link as well. This is some other polling I saw. Westminster voting intention. This is the worst one I saw. 44% Conservative, Labour 33.
That's quite significant as well.
11-point difference. I mean, you remember, they were getting essed on for Corbyn's terrible leadership and how he took the party into the grave. And yeah, he sure did. But there's no getting out of that grave, it seems. It's just the 30% of the country that will always vote Labour is still that's it. That's all they've got left.
And it seems like the Greens and the Lib Dems have picked up a reasonable amount of that vote, and because their votes are normally split between the country, that might not actually amount to very many seats. So that might actually mean that if this is accurate, which I'm very sceptical of, as with many of the polls, then the Conservatives would clearly have a pretty significant number of seats over any other party.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the nice, it's nice and bad. So, I mean, the Lib Dems and the Greens, they're just, progressives and socialists wearing different clothing. I mean, there's nothing really unique about them that makes them a proper opposition in my mind. And so, okay, they suck up a bunch of votes from Labour and stop them getting huge majorities. But the Conservatives don't have really anyone to the side of them that can challenge them and bring them towards traditionalism. And except maybe, Brexit Party and Reform UK and UKIP, but they're all really gone now. Let's say. I mean, they're still around, and in the London elections, I certainly vote for them over the Tory candidate. I mean, what a mess. And but apart from that, I mean, it is a shame to say they're not on 10%. They're not on 15%, and being able to strike away at the Tories and then force them to become traditionalists.
I think the problem largely is that in seats where it's close between Labour and the Conservatives, people are more inclined to vote tactically, so they're more willing to say, okay, well, I'll vote for the Tories even though I'm not happy with them because at least it's not Labour. And yeah, I think that happens more on a scale on the right than it does the left.
Certainly the Labour Party needs to die. I agree with Peter Hitchens. That's how you will get things to change. But it gets even worse. We go to the next link. This is working class polling. Working class voters polled them 48% Conservative, 29% Labour.
That's really resounding.
Almost 50% voting Conservative in the working class, 29% Labour.
Where are Labour even going to get their votes from?
Foreigners. That's literally their campaign strategy. It's just like, let's just import voters. Because you can't even rely on the working class at all anymore, because the working class have seen your BS for what it is, it's BS, and then they're turning against you, which I just love to see. And again, I mean, I know people are going to be like, yeah, but the Tories. And I'm like, yeah, okay, the Tories. But if we just kill the Labour Party, and then we can have the Tories as them, and then we can have an actual opposition. Like, in my worldview, I know a lot of people are unionists, but Cole's kind of winning me around to the anti-unionist side here, which is if Scotland goes independent, for example. I mean, it gets worse with if Wales goes. But you look at the country, look at the constituencies. There is no way the left can ever get back in power in Britain if Scotland leaves. And the Labour Party know this as well. I mean, they're freaking out about it, which is that if Scotland leaves, they can't get the seats. It just can't happen. So then you'll just end up with, like, England being the Tories versus, I don't know, like a UKIP-type party. And then that'll be the two-party system. And that's where it needs to be, because that's the only place in which you can have sensible debate. And all of this is looking great, sure, and it's all on a national scale, and there's the local elections and whatnot. But one of the interesting things is Boris has been campaigning in Hartlepool constituency. And Hartlepool constituency is an MP constituency because there's a by-election going on. So if you can get the next one, you can just see him campaigning there. People have been saying that he's coming around. So in 2 days, there's a by-election there. Boris Johnson in Hartlepool doubt he would be here if the Tories didn't think they had a real chance of winning here. On the freezing wet seafront, people are flocking to him for selfies and elbow bumps. And I mean, yeah, okay, we can have a million conversations about his handling of coronavirus and lockdowns and all the rest of it. But realpolitik for a minute, they're winning. Like, they're winning these positions. And if they can take them from Labour, I'm not going to complain. Screw them. And if you just check, like, the local polling for the area of Hartlepool, so this is them trying to win another MP. Favourability rating. Johnson's favourability rating in Hartlepool, net plus 23. Keir Starmer, net minus 18. Red wall. How's that red wall looking? Not looking very red, is it? Yeah, good. I love it. And some people have been pointing out, I mean, like Toby Young points out, how did this happen? How could this have happened? Yeah, I mean, come on, guess. I mean, you got Keir Starmer in charge here, and he doubled down on a lot of the woke nonsense that lost them votes into Jeremy Corbyn to begin with. I mean, like taking the knee for BLM.
It has no history here as well, and I think it actually aggravates a lot of people because they know it's just American influence in our culture, and I think that winds people up because they're like, well, what are you doing this for? Like, we're fine. There's no problem here. Why are you acting as if it's one and the same thing? And I think just regular people can see that aren't really following politics, and the fact that they're continually virtue signalling is only going to alienate people more.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at the working class numbers there earlier. I mean, how do the working class feel about the nuclear family? How do they feel about Britain existing? How do they feel about England existing? Do they think that England's a good place, or do they think it's a racist hellhole and needs to be destroyed? And then you look at the BLM guys. These two groups can't mesh.
They don't coexist, do they? They're two separate entities.
I mean, as Helen Dale pointed out, what is it? Fund the NHS, hang the nonces. I mean, that's how she characterized the working class voting predictions. And then you compare that to the woke types, and it's just like, nah, they're never going to agree. I mean, we should have no standards versus, hang the nonces, standards. So, no, not going to happen. I mean, just like on Brexit, it's just there's too many groups that just can't mesh, and then it just becomes the cluster F that is the Labour Party, and they're getting what they deserve by the looks of it, which is dismal polling. So if we go to the Hartlepool polling here, so this is the constituency that's up for a by-election for an MP, so you can see here, Conservatives 50% versus Labour 33%. Red wall. This is the red wall.
It's a blue wall now.
Look at me, it is blue now. God, it's so good. Like, okay, good. Finally, we can just accept that the Labour Party, everything about them is garbage. They don't deserve to be in politics. They don't deserve to be in polite politics at all. There should be a fringe party selling pencils. There should be nothing else. I just wanted to mention as well, like this seat here has been Labour since 1945.
Wow.
1945.
So it was only in World War II that they ever voted Conservative, and I imagine that would be Churchill, right? So.
And now it's 50% Conservative again. It's amazing. I mean, we are seeing something real shift going on here. And that's why I wanted to cover it. I didn't just want to have a laugh at the Labour Party, although I'll happily do that because they suck and they deserve everything they get. But it's just great to see. And again, I mean, Hartlepool being a special condition here, but an example of the wider problem across the country. I mean, if you just look at the Leave vote, the Leave Brexit vote. So if you can scroll down just so we can get the graph up in which it shows how many people voted Leave and how many voted Remain. You can see here of the Leave vote, 69.5% voted Leave.
That's a pretty resounding Leave vote, isn't it?
Yeah. Just Britain good, EU bad. Good. Except, where's the Labour Party on this?
I mean, they're nowhere to be seen.
They're still debating it.
they're kind of going along with it, like, we respect the vote, and they're just dragging their heels along, and people can kind of see that. They know that they're not very enthusiastic about it because they never talk about it, except the problems it causes. And it's ridiculous, really, because if they were just thinking about it from a tactical political perspective, they should be saying, well, we respect this vote, we're going to do the best for the country, and they're not doing that. They're saying we need to move closer to the EU, and they're almost putting the EU's interests above our own, and it's ridiculous. Like, who wants that other than the metropolitan elite?
It's fantastic. I saw, like, what was it? The like Twitter leftists. So I saw like Ash Sarkar and all the rest of them complaining. It was like, yeah, but okay, in this constituency, we won in 2017 and 2019, so why should we lose it now? And it's like, you know why you should lose it. You absolutely know why you should lose it. Because you guys suck. You guys hate Britain. You hate everyone, and you hate the fucking voters who voted for these. Sorry, I'm going to get mad. let's go to the next one. So this is just the by-election here. So if you can scroll down so we can see 2019's vote. So just below this box, you can see another box that has the data in it. So in here, they have the... Sorry, keep going. Yeah, so you can see this vote here. Labour Party 2019, 37% voted for Labour, 28% for Conservative, 25% for Richard Tice, Brexit Party, now leader of Reform Ukraine, the new name for the Brexit Party. And where are these people going to go? I mean, do you trust Labour with keeping us out of the EU and not rejoining? Do you trust them to care about Britain at all? Well, Keir Starmer, arch Remainer. We did the statistics on his cabinet, like Emily Thornberry, Jess Phillips, all the rest of them. It was like 90% of them were hard Remainers. Like, not even just we need to remain in the EU in 2016, but like campaigned against democracy throughout the treasonous period in which they tried to overturn the vote.
And are they still against our decision to leave? Would they rejoin, do you reckon?
Well, I mean, they publicly say, oh no, the debate's over, we're not going to talk about this anymore. It's like, oh, bullshit. Like, you get in power, you're going to run another referendum, you're going to try and take us back in. There is no way you're going to respect this in the long term. Plastic face. No
I would imagine that they would just say, oh, there's this kind of insignificant consequence, it's really bad, and then this kind of is the rationale for another referendum. We need to have another decision because the situation has changed. Yeah,
they'll claim that, I don't know, lockdowns destroyed the economy, therefore we must join the EU, and it's like, okay. Like, we got rid of all property rights in the UK, and this means we must get rid of our nation-state's independence. Convincing argument. Anyway, so let's go to the next link, which is just the constituency itself. If we can scroll down to 2017, because there's the argument, as I said, from Ash Sarkar and whatnot, trying to claim that, oh, okay, but we won in 2017 and 2019. So if you go to 2017, you can see, keep going down. So I want to see the graph. So you can see here, up a little bit. So there we go. 2017, Labour Party 52%, Conservatives 34%. And as you can see, that's them mopping up the UKIP vote there. See UKIP down 16% in that area. And it's just them mopping that up. But, okay, 2017, 2019, you had Jeremy Corbyn. They're like, this shows that Jeremy Corbyn was the way. Morons, absolute morons. Because you can go up to the graph, and if you can see the graph, you can just see it's an endless curve down. And it's, as I say, and as you've pointed out, it's these contradictions within the party itself. These groups cannot align with each other on fundamental things. And this is why this party literally cannot last. I don't see it lasting into the next few decades, hopefully.
Yeah, and Brexit is still a key issue, even though it's over and done with, more or less. It still gets mentioned in the news all the time. And although there was the kind of horrendous BBC reporting of despite Brexit, such and such, yeah. It's still something that's relevant in the political consciousness a lot of the time. And
because it exposed the problems. I mean, it exposed how these people think about Britain, it exposed how they think about the working class. I mean, endlessly calling them racist, S-word, W-word, as one Labour MP called Brexiteers. That's how they think about these things. In which case, these people can never be trusted with power. It's not, oh no, now we've changed. No, you haven't changed. Exactly the same people.
They've got worse, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, they've not given up on any of the identity politics stuff. I mean, one of the weird things I saw, was it Tony Blair gave a speech like last month warning Labour against identity politics?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, and on a lot of it, he was actually right. And I mean, I hate to say that I agreed with Tony Blair, but he was right about the Labour Party.
Tony Blair is right, the Labour Party's cancer.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.